All right. Okay, cool, cool. All right. What's up, world? My name is Corey. Stay trapping here with Trap Talks. Thanks for joining us. Where we discuss the intersection of culture and tech. And today I have a very special guest, New Jersey's own Hampton University graduate, electrical engineering, right? Um, Scale House founder, multi-town founder. And so yeah, did I miss anything?
No, that's it. That was perfect.
Cool, cool. So
Appreciate that.
cool, man. Thanks for, taking the time,
Mhm.
You've been very patient, so I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, let's start from the top. I'm originally from North Carolina, right? Born in New York, but I don't claim New York like, I was bred in North Carolina. So it always fascinates me when I see someone who's from the North come down to live in the South or whatever. So like, what was it about, you know, Houston that attracted you to actually move here?
Man, opportunity. I think where I was in Jersey, there's a ceiling in regards to what you've fully can achieve in that area. I'm in like the South Jersey area. So similar to like being in Katy and Spring. And in order to get that downtown city life, I'll have to go to Philadelphia. So I didn't see myself expanding in Philadelphia. I'm more so just like, okay, let me see or look at an area where I feel like there's no ceiling in regards to what I can achieve, right? I
Right.
mean, Houston's going to produce the most millionaires in the next 10 years. So I wanted to be in that vicinity, to actually build something that will get me to that status, right? So that was really one of the driving forces and the reason why I came to Houston. Because I mean, I see a lot of successful entrepreneurs. They say, if you want to be successful, get out of your hometown, right? So that was one suggestion that I took and ran with it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I agree with you there because I'm from a small town, Goldsboro, love Goldsboro to death. But what I found is that, you know, I'm not the same person I was, growing up. Um, And, it's like your mom and your dad, you always going to be your mom and your dad's baby. So no matter what you do, better or worse, they're always going to see you as a baby. And what I found is like when you meet, just stretch out on a limb and you meet new people, you're able to create a whole new story about yourself because they don't know your past,
Yeah.
or they only know what you tell them of your past, and they looking at your present. Um, but yeah, cool, cool. So definitely see you there. So tell me, what was it like, um, growing up in Jersey?
Um, it was pretty cool. I mean, for me, I had an engineering background in high school. So I was already in engineering in high school before I got to college to study electrical engineering. So that outside of that, um, so yeah, background in Jersey. It's small hometown, country hometown. Majority of my family lived there from there. I think, for me, I always felt like I was an outlier in that area, right? I felt like, okay, there's something bigger for me than Jersey. So I always carried myself that way. So like I said, I had an engineering background in high school, ran track, played a little basketball, wasn't the best. I was always seen as the underdog. And I think that was my edge, growing up. Like I know that people are going to see me as the underdog. They may underestimate me. And then next thing you know, you see, something that I've created or, you know, uh, came into, right? Or became, right? So I think, uh, for me, when I was from Jersey, or lived in Jersey, I think, um, I just use that as my edge, in
Mm,
regards to just being an underdog, leaning in on that and, taking whatever accomplish or whatever task I'm trying to take on, uh, just trying to do it to the best of my ability.
right, right. So like, I've heard people say that before, like
Mm,
I'm an underdog. I kind of feel like I'm an underdog too
mm,
because I had a funny story. Like I ended up took my mom to the movie and I saw my old music director,
Mhm.
and she's like, she was like, Corey, you was something in school. I said, yeah, you was something too. And she started laughing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I know exactly what you mean about being the underdog, because where I'm at today, a lot of people that I grew up with
Mhm.
would not see me here. I wouldn't even see myself here doing what I'm doing now. Um, but what what was it in you that made you okay with being the underdog?
Again, I use it as my edge. I'm just like, okay, people are underestimating me. They don't know what to expect, right? So I think for me, I use that as fuel where I would just get in the basement, get to that grind mode, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to show people, right? And not showing people to where there was pride and ego involved, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain percentage, right, of
Right.
ego with that, but I think more so using that as an edge and using that as fuel. Um, People don't know what to expect, right? And I think a lot of success is built from that. You know, people being underdogs, they don't know what to expect, and then they come out of nowhere and just take off, right? So
Yeah.
even for example, just for track in high school, I wasn't the fastest, but I was a great jumper. And for me, I think because they looked at me as like, I'm gonna be a high jumper or whatever the case may be, and I'm just like, no, I want to lock in on long jump and triple jump. So I was underdog in that space, right? First meet, they call it the meet of champions. I was ranked third in the state,
Oh wow.
and I wasn't someone that was just always boasting about certain things. I always was a humble person, but I utilized that underdog mentality
Now,
and wind up being top three in the state. So I always use that as fuel.
yeah.
I get excited when people look at me as the underdog.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So I remember, so when I went to community college, I didn't take the SAT. So I went to community college, then went to a 4 year,
Mm,
went to Carolina where Jordan went. Um, and when I was in community college, I won the award. I can't think of the name of the award, but I served on the state level, SGA board for all the community colleges.
mm,
And one of my close friends, Will, I always tell him, like, man, when I won that award, you couldn't tell me nothing.
mm,
It was like I was here, but then from a confidence standpoint, it went up to here. Like I did not even expect to win that award. Like people were clapping. I remember it was like I was like in a daze almost. Like and the guy behind me, Kevin, was like, "Are you gonna get up and accept your award?" I'm like, "Oh, okay."
mm,
He's like kind of woke me up. So talk to me about how getting placed third in the long jump,
mm.
how did that impact your confidence?
It took it to another level.
Mm,
It took it to another level. I think for me, now knowing what limited beliefs are, that's what I struggled with in high school, right? So
mm,
I knew that I was going to be someone people always would tell me. They would always see it in me before I saw it in myself. So I think that was probably one of the first stepping stones or first situation where I felt like, okay, I'm confident in my ability. Whatever I set my mind to, I can accomplish. So it just took my confidence to the next level.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah. So are you the only child? You got siblings?
I got a sister.
Sister.
Yeah, younger
So
sister.
are you the oldest?
Oldest, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And she's still in Jersey?
No, everyone moved here.
Oh
So I got
wow.
my sister to move here. My parents followed after.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. So I can understand what made your sister come. I'm assuming she had the same mindset as you. But what got your parents to move down here? Is it because y'all here?
Yeah, that. And then also they lived in Jersey their entire lives, so they wanted something different.
Right.
And, they heard about the opportunities that I was getting here, the opportunities that they can, take advantage of as well. And they were just like, well, it's a no-brainer. We're getting older, right? Let's
Right.
take advantage of making the shift, making the
Right.
change. So,
Right. And the interesting thing about Houston is that it was actually founded by a New Yorker.
mhm,
Him and his brother, I think Sam Houston, they came down. There actually is a cemetery not too far from here
mm,
and I read everything about it. And it's funny, they're from New York.
mm,
And so when they came down here, we won't know but a big swamp,
mm.
right? So it's kind of interesting when you talk about you from Jersey, you came down here. But yeah, that's so you moved here first, and then how quickly did everybody else move down here?
I think it took my sister 2 years. She visited for her birthday, and then she moved 6 months after her birthday, or maybe less than that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just was always calling them, telling them, like, how much I love Houston. I'm not coming back. So they were like, "Okay, well, if you're not coming back, then let's see about making that shift to come up there."
But you lived in Miami before you came here, right?
Yeah, so I was in Miami, DMV.
Well, DMV is vague.
Yeah,
That's
well, DC, I was in
Maryland.
Alexandria, Virginia,
Yeah.
but yeah, was in Miami, Brickell area, right before I moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so you go to Hampton.
Mm.
What was it that attracted you to Hampton going there?
Man, I think being in a space that their sole focus is helping a lot of people succeed, right? I think because I went to a PWI my entire life, mm, I got that feeling from certain people, like a counselor, maybe two teachers, right?
Right.
And I think that was mainly because I was successful in school.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so I think because I was getting the support at the PWIs by a few people, mainly because of what I was offering to the student, uh, in regards to like sports, extracurriculars. Um, I think once I went to Hampton, I realized like they really cared, right? They really cared
Mm,
about me succeeding. Outside of it just being a beautiful campus,
right.
and the tour was amazing. I was sold. Like I didn't want to go. I think I was touring Virginia Tech, um, I believe NSU, ODU, and I think I canceled all those tours the moment I toured Hampton. So I was just sold. I was sold on just being in a space where they cared for about us succeeding and evolve.
Yeah, yeah. It's like FUBU, right? For us by us.
Mm,
Yeah. So Hampton is like very historical.
mm.
Like, tell us some of the people who came through Hampton and like because I know there's so many I can't think of any, but you went there. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
tell
I
us
think
like briefly who are some of those?
DJ Envy was there.
Okay,
He
so
graduated
DJ Envy
there.
from Breakfast Club.
Yeah, from Breakfast Club. Justin Bieber's DJ, DJ Tay James, which is frat as well. He went there. Man, the celebrities that went to Hampton, I really can't think of their names, but I just know those two for sure, the DJs.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. And did you get to feel that the alumni actually come back and like really pour into?
yeah. I mean, Hampton's homecoming is going on right now.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of, people that have been there for years. I mean, not years, but they graduated years ago coming back every year. So yeah, definitely the Hampton alumni, I think, keep homecoming going. Of course, like the campus there adds on to, the amount of people that are actually at homecoming. But I think if it wasn't for the Hampton alumni, it wouldn't be able to keep constantly involved. Right.
Mm,
Because I remember I was in school, I'm not putting much money to homecoming. Right. Alumni is the ones who are putting money towards homecoming. So they definitely
right.
come back.
Right. Right. So all right. So you at Hampton,
Mm.
and what could you say you was already doing engineering in high school?
Mm.
Um, I guess what was it about engineering that attracted you to it?
So I always had the ability to find elegant solutions to complex problems. I felt like when I was in high school, I always thought differently. I was always solution based. So I think that was able to translate well in high school to where I'm like, okay, it's a no brainer for me to actually take this on in college. So I think for me, I always like finding problems and then just figuring out a solution for it. And
Mm,
that's literally what engineering is, problem solving.
right. Right.
So that's mainly what attracted me to it. Of course, I was good into science and math. That was the easy part of it. I think I always wanted to one build things, but then also I had the vision to build it, right? So I think building things and then having a vision to build it and then wanting to find a solution on how to build it was what attracted me to engineering.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. So like, so you're going through Hampton electrical engineering. When did you start getting the entrepreneurial bug, or when you were like, hey, I think I want to go the entrepreneurial route versus corporate or do both? Like, when did you kind of start seeing where you want to take your career?
Yeah. Maybe probably the end of my sophomore year. I think I wanted to be an alpha my sophomore year, but didn't have the grades to do it. So instead, most people are like devastated when stuff like that happens. I leaned in on that, used it as an edge, right? And I created a mentoring program called Intelligence. So the goal with that was to pretty much go into fifth grade um, to eighth grade schools and talk to young men about their parents, right? The importance of a parents, and then showing them that, there's other ways to be successful outside of being, artist, rapper, entertainer,
Right.
athlete that we see on TV, right? So a lot of our members that were part of Intelligence were engineers, people in the science space, people in the business space, lawyers, potential lawyers, and pharmacists, all those things, right? So I think that was probably one of the first sparks, even though it was a nonprofit. That was probably one of the first sparks of, okay, I can build something outside of engineering. Right. And then I started leaning in on, listening to different podcasts, right, of entrepreneurs at that time. And I forgot who said this, but he was pretty much explaining like, $100,000 is good annually, right? But what's keeping you from making 100,000 a month? So when I heard that, it just really clicked. And I'm just like, okay, how can I do that? Right? How can I shift into, not necessarily just trying to graduate and get the degree to make 100,000. How can I make 100,000 in a month? And I saw that, the only way or one of the ways was entrepreneurship,
Mm.
getting into business, right? Providing a service, whatever that may be. So I kind of leaned in on that at that time. I wasn't very intentional during that time. It was just a clip, right? It was just a spark.
Right, right.
So once that spark hit, I was just more so just on a learning journey. Like went down a lot of rabbit holes in regards to like, okay, this is how a lot of people get to wealth, right? It's the difference between rich and wealthy. So
Yeah.
just, learning
Rich is
those
getting
things.
money, wealth is keeping it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So just learning that and just, figuring out, okay, what vehicle can that lead me to doing that or making that?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Um, how did you? Because I'm really want you to unpack this because you make it sound so easy
Mm,
to like to get over those hard things, and because you got to really because you had your energy directed towards right getting it and becoming an alpha, right?
yeah.
Like what Martin Luther King's an alpha.
Mhm,
A lot of there's a lot of successful alphas out there, right? Like,
mhm.
but so what was it? How did you actually get over that? Like, what are some things you did? Because, like, break it down from what you can remember. Because
Yeah.
I really don't want to unpack it, and I think a lot of people can take away for a lot from that. Like,
Yeah.
how do you get over those roadblocks in life?
I think for me, whenever I'm facing a roadblock, I always look at it as redirection, right? So I'm like, instead of getting in a dark place about something that didn't happen, I'm being redirected for some reason, right? So for me, I just looked at it as, okay, it's not right now. It's not right. It's not the time right now. Not saying that, of course, I mean, I'm alpha now, made it happen. But I think for me, I just had to realize that, you know, um, it was just a redirection.
Right.
So what am I going to do next? And, I just felt like, again, I was always bigger than my circumstance. And I just leaned in on, okay, well, I got redirected. Good. Right. Let me develop myself a little bit more. Let me get my grades right. Let me now figure out another way to help people. Right. Because I mean, ultimately getting into the fraternity, be leaning on community service, giving back. How can we help our community? Right. So I felt like that was my avenue to do that. But I realized that, okay, I can do that outside of that.
Yeah.
And I realized that for me, I was always sharp on campus. So I was maybe twice or three times a week, I was wearing a suit. So I'm like, okay, let me lean in. Let me lean in on, okay, let me teach people how to tie ties. Cause a lot of
A
my
lot of people
friends at
don't
the
know.
time was just like, bro, can you come to my door and teach me how to tie a tie? I'm like, we're the same age. You don't know that. So I'm like, okay, well, if they
Yeah.
don't know that at this age, how can I impact a small group of people before they get to that age and not know? Right.
Right.
So that's, why and how I came up with due diligence. And then it wound up being more than just teaching them how to tie ties. Right.
Yeah.
We had a curriculum. We, have giveaways, to where now they have ties and they can dress up and,
Right.
that's something that will stick with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, realized that it was redirection and, shifted.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
From it, I think that really needs to be a deciding factor on if you should join or not, right? Because most things you can do without joining a fraternity. I think for me, I didn't have any brothers growing up. Outside of course, like sports brothers, like, playing basketball, track, having brothers within that space. But I felt like when I got on campus at Hampton, a lot of the alphas embraced me, right? They welcomed me with open arms. I aligned with how they carried themselves and how I wanted to carry myself moving forward. So I think the main thing is alignment, right? When you see someone, right, do you get motivated and do you feel as though, okay, could they help you propel in life, right? So I think really just alignment, um, how active they are in the community, all of those things are important factors because, some people just join for the wrong reasons, right? So I just really think it depends on the reasoning that you join.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to touch on it too quick because I want to say it's positive as much as possible. But there have been instances where I've seen a guy
Mm,
where, they were like very meek, humble,
mm.
and then all of a sudden they cross to whatever. And
Yeah.
then it's just like, where did this come from?
I mean, that's the thing,
you
right? You
know,
need to know.
I didn't experience that a lot, but I experienced it enough. And I'm thinking about one particular guy. I don't think he's a bad or good. I'm not saying that he's a bad person, but it was kind of weird. Like, bro, you actually was not like that. Your confidence wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Like now it seems inflated,
Yeah.
you know?
I think people don't know who they are sometimes going into that, right? So
Mm,
being a part of fraternity can create a false sense of identity, to where it gives you that boost of confidence, right? It could be beneficial. It can come off as your experience, right? So I think going in, that's the main thing. Knowing who you are, knowing you have your own identity before going into a fraternity will, eliminate those type of experiences. And, some people don't, unfortunately, know who
mm,
they are, and they allow the fraternity to create that identity for them.
mm.
So that's essentially why that happens.
Yeah.
Mm.
So do you think that through your experience, do you think it reinforced who you were? Or do you think it was on your path to figuring out who you were?
I think a mixture of both. I was well known prior, Mr. of the university. So I had to talk to everybody in my class,
Yeah.
uh, all those things. So I think for me, I had an idea of who I was, I think going through the process, it opened up my eyes to a lot of things. But I think ultimately it did add a boost of confidence, right? Because, one, I had to now face my fears of being in front of people, right? Talking to people all the time, interacting. So it did, um, boost those skill sets, I would say. But I think because I had an idea of who I was prior, um, and then of course having a connection with God too, I think that is an important factor prior to going into any fraternity, right? So, knowing that you're covered all those things, I think that it really didn't change me fully. It just added a boost of confidence that I already had within me
Right.
that I just needed to uh, go through a process for it to actually come about, right? Or
Yeah.
sprout out.
Yeah. And when you say that you was doing this around campus, they call you Mr. University,
Mm,
like what I found is that organizations and people in general, companies, they they're looking for people with that it factor,
mm,
right? Like you can't really describe, you can't really put your name on it.
mm,
Um, but they know like, wow, this person has a lot of potential. So it's like a lot of self-selection happening as well.
yeah,
Like they're not just most fraternities just aren't looking for bodies. They're looking for people like, cause they're thinking like, all right, is this person going to be able to train pro fights coming in? Are they going to be able to uphold our morals, right?
Right.
And I like how you said, like, your faith is important, right? Like, thing came instantly to my mind is like, you got to have faith of a mustard seed. That's all you need,
Yeah.
right? And it sounds like you already had everything through God and in yourself. It's just, okay, joining the alphas is just, it's just like reinforcement.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need it, but
mm,
it's reinforcement and it's aligns with where I want to go. So,
right.
um, but yeah, it's interesting to say that because, like, I think about certain people that cross. I'm like most of them, in my viewpoint, I feel like they would have gotten to where they were or going already. It's just joining the fraternity, the right one, under the right circumstances,
Mm,
was more fuel to the fire.
yeah.
More like, oh, you get access to this brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever. So,
Mm,
um, but yeah, that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a great experience. I'll
yeah.
say that.
Um, all right. So you graduate. So after you graduate Hampton, you cross you Alpha. Oh, okay.
So I didn't actually graduate.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I don't mind at this point in my life, I don't mind even sharing that story. Right.
Okay.
I think
Okay. I
it
thought you
goes back.
graduated.
No, so it goes back to the whole question when you asked me when did I get that entrepreneur spark.
Yeah.
So long story short, I transferred over my credits right from another university to graduate earlier. Um, and because I knew exactly what I wanted to do, which, I am doing now, which was day trading and then real estate, right? Not really doing the real estate right now, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I think that led me to not actually staying an extra semester or however long I needed to stay to graduate.
Right.
So I think having that clarity made me feel a lot better in regards to, okay, well, because I didn't graduate, I know what I want to do. And a lot of people don't, get fearful with that, right? Because people graduate and they still don't know what they do, right? So I think for me, I was grateful that I had the clarity, even though I was facing that circumstance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't graduate Hampton. I still know I can go back and get my credits, but I think um, what I'm doing now is not really necessary.
Do you see yourself going back getting the credits?
I thought about like going to like, how people go to like Harvard Business School or, get some, credentials in that way. I think the only reason why I would do it is to fulfill being the only male in my family to graduate.
Mm.
So I think that was
On both sides of your family?
both sides of my family. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was really the pressure, right? At that
Yeah.
time, right? To be this big electrical engineer, first to graduate. But I think when I got that entrepreneur spark, I'm just like, well, I want to be the first multi-billionaire in the family
Yeah.
rather than any trader.
Yeah. How did your parents take it though?
Man. Um, they were accepting after they were able to get over the fact that that is reality, right? That I wasn't going back. Um, but it was hard,
Yeah.
like I said, being the first entrepreneur to pursue something like this out of college was new to them. They didn't understand the concept of day trading. At the time, I was attempting to wholesale properties, so they didn't. All of these were new concepts to them. All right,
Mm.
so I think it took them seeing results for them to say, okay, he has something here, right? So let's give him more grace.
Yeah.
Let's not pressure him to get a job, right? Because if he can make the X amount in a month, and that's more than mostly what people would make in a year, why not give him that grace, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
it just really took results for my parents to really be like, okay, let's trust, our son in this space, right?
Yeah.
Let's support him. And yeah, it was just new to them. So they
How
just didn't
how
know how
long
to
did
take
that
it.
take? Was that like 6 months, a year?
Man, if I'm
Or when you showed them like, hey, this is how much I made from wholesaling or day trading?
yeah, I think for my mom, she's always been a risk taker, right? So she understood. I think it took her maybe a year, right, to get over. She was more accepting early on because I needed someone in my corner to be accepting. It's like you
Right.
need that sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
um, so I think for her, it was early on. For my dad, it took past couple months for him
Mm.
to actually get over it.
Past couple months.
Yes. we had a conversation about it, and we just laid it all on the table. And it took him a very long time to be accepting of it. But I think now uh, that he sees the journey that I'm on, he's like, okay, I see what you've been raving about, right? What you've
Yeah.
been combating, or not even combating, but telling us like, you're not going to go this direction because you see this direction, right?
Right.
So sometimes your parents s- put themselves in positions to where they look at what you're doing and how they would do it, right? Rather than just allowing their kids to prosper,
Yeah.
right? So that's really what it took,
Yeah.
for him to like
Yeah.
realize that.
It's funny you say that 'cause I remember my mom, I went through an unemployment period and this is like when I was like out of college. And she's like, you just need to go to places and fill out an application in person. And I'm like, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I definitely understand that perspective. So what is it that you say your mom was more the risk taker? Because I'm used to the opposite. So what is it that your mom did for a career? What does your dad do for as a career?
Yeah. So my dad was in sales, pretty much his entire life. So I get that sales background from him as well. My mom was more so a visionary. She's been in high level education, principal, all those spaces. So
Okay.
I think because she, outside of, of course, her educational background of, being a principal and, all those things, she was also a singer, right? So she was a gospel recording artist. So taking that risk on doing that,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Pursuing that lane.
Okay.
That's why I say, she was a risk taker. My dad always just had a good job, you know?
Yeah.
So he, was comfortable with the stability of, bringing in what he needed to bring in rather than not knowing,
Yeah.
right? Um, I think for me, I was okay with not knowing because I had the vision, and I think
Yeah.
I got the vision from my mom, and then also the sales ability, and just trying to figure something out for my dad.
Mm-mm.
So
So your sister is more like your dad.
I would say so, yeah, because
Oh, okay.
she's always had consistent good jobs. She was in
Yeah.
nursing, so
Yeah.
they're very similar. My mom and I are very similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So so where did you get your style from?
My dad,
Your dad. Oh, okay.
I think I took his style, just elevated it, made it my
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
But he always was clean,
Yeah.
from the moment I remember, correct? So just down to the socks, I never
It's
seen
like
anybody
me,
iron
Richie down to the
socks.
sock. Wow, he ironed sock.
Iron socks. Everything needs to be
But
crisp, right?
he hold on. He ironed his sock.
Iron socks. No creases and no wrinkles in anything, right?
I see
So
why your mom fell in love with that man.
yeah. So just
I don't know nobody who iron their socks, man.
yeah.
I'm like,
So just seeing that growing up,
he
right?
ironed his body shirts too.
This tank tops, yeah. Everything needs to be crisp. You're not going to see a wrinkle.
If he
Yeah,
ironed his body shirt,
yeah.
what's off limits?
Right, right. No, exactly, exactly. But yeah, no, he's always been
So do
clean.
you iron your body shirt and your socks?
It depends. Like if I have like a thin shirt, and I know people might see my tank top. Yeah, of
Yeah, yeah.
course.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you gotta wear a tank top around here though. It's so
I
hot.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
something to absorb the sweat.
Yeah. 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 I went out with my fiance one time. It was like kind of hot where we were.
Mm,
She looked at my arms like, okay, cool.
mm,
Cause we seen another guy, he looked like he had a whole like puddle under his armpit.
yeah,
And she like, yeah, I'm glad it ain't you. I'm like, damn,
yeah.
you know,
His immunity is no joke out here.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm used to that. My family's from Caribbean islands. That's another reason why I moved to Houston. Actually, just try to get closer to warm weather.
Mm. So are you first generation American or
Yes, first generation American. Yes, yeah,
because you
I
and
was
your
born
sister were
here.
born here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and which islands did your parents come from?
Dad's from Barbados.
Okay.
My mom's family from Barbados as well, but also America. So
Okay.
my mom's mom is from Barbados. Well, not from Barbados, but her family's from Barbados.
Yeah.
And then my dad's family's from Barbados.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they meet in Barbados or?
Yeah. I don't know how my mom convinced them to move from Barbados to America, but she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, you related to Rihanna?
So I went out there a couple of years ago and I was talking to my cousins about that. Distant cousin, right? Probably maybe fourth cousin, fifth cousin, right? But she was saying there was some relation there. I don't know.
It's such a small island, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a possibility. I've seen her a couple times.
Oh wow.
ASAP Rocky out there, yeah.
So do they like how they be moving out there? I know they be moving with a lot of security,
So,
or do they have to?
nah, not really. People are
Really,
peaceful out in Barbados.
really.
Yeah, they don't even have like violence really. Like they just started having violence maybe in the last couple of years, if that,
Hmm.
after going for almost 20 years. But the area that we normally stay in and that she stays in is considered the West Side. So, for example, that's River Oaks here. All right. So the River Oaks of Barbados, essentially.
Hmm.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah. Cause I would think she going back to her home.
Yeah.
Like she can't move around like that because everybody's just
No,
going crazy.
not at all. I mean, it's just like you going back to your hometown, right? Like, I think that's how Bajans treat Brianna sexually. I mean, sometimes it get crazy, and it's getting crazy most likely from tourists.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
got it. Cause that's one thing I liked about like the Bay when I was living out there, and I noticed even in New York is that they so used to seeing um famous people
Mm.
to where it's like they're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
unless you like Michael Jackson level or something, then
Right.
maybe it wouldn't matter where you at, they're gonna go crazy. But like, yeah, I remember I seen Ryan Coogler in person,
Mm.
and people was just acting normal.
Mm.
And I told my one of my friends at the time, I was like, you know who that was?
Mm.
Because he greeted us at the door. He was one of his friends is a rapper,
Mm.
and I think he was managing his album release party or whatever. He was just acting normal, moving around and stuff. And I'm like, everybody was acting normal around here, and I'm like, y'all don't know who he is?
Mm.
It was kind of like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty short. He's not that tall. He may be like 5'5" or something like that. Like
Mm.
he's not a tall guy, but yeah, that's pretty cool to hear that she could just move around her and ASAP Rocky without no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think to your point in regards to the Bay, I mean Houston too. Like we feel like we're celebrities, so we're not gonna fan over celebrities that come in here because
yeah,
we most likely feel that way.
yeah,
For the most
yeah,
part, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how it is probably in Atlanta, Houston, Bay. Uh, just Bajans are just chill. You know, they don't want to bother
And
anybody behind that.
yeah,
But yeah, I think
the prime minister, I think she was prime minister or the president. I went through a rabbit hole looking at her speeches. I was like, wow, she was like really giving me like Malcolm X vibes, like
yeah,
very much so, very unapologetic. Like
mhm,
we need our rights,
yeah,
pay us our money that
yeah,
you owe us. So like I'm like, wow, okay.
yeah. And I think one thing I really like about her is that she's big on entrepreneurship. Great.
What's her name? What's her name?
That's a great question. Um, I
I
can't
feel
remember
bad
her
for not
name.
remembering her name. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember
yeah.
her name. But she was part of the reason why I wanted to move to Barbados at one point
Mm,
because a lot of businesses migrate to Barbados, but they're not us, right? They're people from London, England. Um, and I think she more so cared about bringing more entrepreneurship by us, you know, in our own island, right?
right, right.
So she's supportive of that. So at one point I wanted to move. I'm eventually going to go back. That's going to be a hub for me.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's one of the big things that I like that she's doing now.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right. So how did you get into wholesaling real estate?
Man, I just one of those YouTube rabbit holes, right? How can I make 100,000 a month, right? And was I successful?
So that was the start. Like, how can I make 100,000?
Fast, right?
Yeah. So this is before obviously ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's way before
Yeah, this is when you had to Google and then you had to search,
Yep.
read, and then go to YouTube.
Yeah. This is even before courses was coming out, right?
Oh wow, yeah.
So this was straight YouTube seminars. And was I the best wholesaler? I wouldn't say that, right? But I think that just was something uh, that I needed to, you know, embark, right? A journey that I needed to take on to figure out, okay, what skill set am I really good at in entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
I always realized that I was good at selling. So I'm like, okay, well, let me figure out how to get to wholesaler because one, that was one of the industries where you didn't have to use your own money. right? All I had to do was sell a contract, right? Find a property, find a
Right.
seller, find a buyer, to sell that contract.
So break that down. What is wholesaling?
So wholesaling is essentially finding a discounted property, all right, whether that's a tear down or a distressed property, and then finding a seller and a buyer, all right. So you're negotiating with the seller uh, a percentage lower than what they would actually sell it for. So say the property they're looking to sell it for $110,000, right? And they're like, okay, well, I can find a buyer for you. Let me take at least 50,000 off, right? So now you're looking to pocket that transaction, right? So you're finding a buyer, you're pocketing that 50,000, 60,000. That's an extreme example, right? But
Yeah.
there's possibilities behind that, right?
Yeah.
So you're pretty much selling that contract to that buyer. Uh, and you're not actually owning property or anything like that. You're just pretty much selling a piece of paper, right? So for me, I think this was like an issue for me early on, right? I always thought about, okay, how can I take this to the biggest level, right? So I think when I started out, it was houses, right? Then I'm just like, well, let me figure out how to wholesale apartment complexes, right? And I took a leap, right, from just houses to, okay, taking on 150 units. And I think the reason why I kind of stepped away because I realized that one, it's a hard industry because a lot of people always want to cut out the middleman, and I was the middleman. So I will always bring good deals to people. Will find the buyers, have great buyers, but the buyers will always want it at an even more discounted rate. So when I realized like they didn't actually need me, and I didn't understand how to solidify that transaction or being the middleman, I'm just like, okay, this might not be for me, you know? But again, that was just a way for me to sharpen my sales skill set, right? And
Right.
connect with, buyers and, high level individuals, pick their brains a little bit, figure out, how they got to where they are, in this entrepreneur space.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you do the wholesaling. How long were you doing wholesaling?
Probably less than a year.
Oh, okay.
Probably less than a year. I more so told more people about wholesaling because I was excited at that time than actually was success within it. Again, it was just more so just me sharpening my sales
Right.
ability. I think if I stuck with it, I probably could have sold a few deals, but again, it was wholesaling and day trading. And I found way more success in
Big day trading.
than wholesaling.
So what type of market, right, do wholesalers make the most in a bear market, in a high interest rate market, low interest rate market, bull market? Like,
I don't think that's a determining factor for wholesalers because there's always going to be someone that has a distressed property that's looking to make some cash. And I think when you realize that with whatever property you're looking for, again, just something that I learned from sales, right? Leaning on people's pain points, right? Some people can't afford the mortgage, right? They can't afford um, even paying for the house anymore.
right.
So pretty much for me, I took the angle of like, let me help you get some cash to get out of this situation.
Hmm.
Right. So I think it doesn't necessarily matter what market it is during that time. It's just more so finding those people who won't.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you're doing wholesaling, teaching people, you're doing some stuff, figuring out like, okay, this might be for me, might not.
Mhm.
What was that moment when you started looking into day trading?
I think it was when I discovered Big. I think it was uh,
When did you discover what price was Bitcoin at when you discovered it?
below five.
5,000?
Yes, below five. And I think at that time, I was just more so fascinated about all the cryptocurrency apps that were giving away free cryptocurrency just for signing up that I didn't grasp the concept of what crypto was.
Mm,
So I think if I understood that rather than trying to take advantage of the free cash that you were getting, there was times when you sign up for crypto.com, they will give you, I think at the time, it was, XLM. They would give you $50 of XLM
right.
every person you would send crypto.com referrals out to. So I'm sending it out to everybody. And I think that's when I first discovered That wasn't the first time I studied crypto, but that's when the first time I'm like, okay, I can actually make money from cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
How can I do that? Right. And then that's how I discovered trading. So, yeah, that was the connection there.
Yeah.
Just downloading all these apps, getting free money from it, that incentive, and then now going down another rabbit hole of like, how can I actually make money from this?
Yeah. So that was, said 5,000, right?
Yeah. So that was around
2018.
yeah,
Yeah.
2018. I mean, I would say as probably the end of 2017 is when I really
Yeah.
locked in on it.
Yeah. So I remember when Bitcoin was 250. Even before that, I remember when it was running up to be $1,000, and at that time it peaked like 1,200. And um, it's kind of crazy where it is now. But yeah, man, I remember the early days. I wish I would have bought in hell more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need a job right now, but
Right.
yeah, it's kind of crazy where it's at now.
Yeah.
But yeah, during that time period when it was around 5,000, I was in the bank in the crypto scene, and I'll tell you some stories after our interview. Some things I don't want to put out publicly, but what I realized when I was in the Bay around that time, because it was actually really the epicenter of crypto, was that a lot of these crypto projects, they were pitching sovereignty, but they really were money grabs.
Yeah.
And I just say that, like, and you know, one major project now, and even it still big, won't say any names, but um this person helped start one cryptocurrency, and was basically forced out because of some bad behavior. And then they started another cryptocurrency. But the cover story was, oh, you know, I don't like your methodology of validating transactions. I want to use it this way. And it's like, and then I heard the real story from people who were around it and in it involved. And it was like very interesting because it's like, I would read all this stuff like, yeah, crypto's gonna make the world better, blockchain. And it would actually make me mad when they'd be like, yeah, this is the biggest wealth transfer ever. And I'm like, I was actually at a conference or somewhere, and I'm like, I'm tired of hearing about this, but the biggest wealth transfer was the robbing and pillage of Native Americans and enslavement of Black people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was crickets after I said that, but
Yeah.
that was a very interesting period. I actually kind of grew to dislike crypto
Okay.
because of that. But then, you know, building wealth, you feel me? It's just like, understand that, but what was happening in crypto, it's already been happening in other assets too, right? Like, it's just the same cycle.
Yeah.
If you familiar with the tulip story in the Netherlands?
No.
But that's like the first, it's not really the first, but it's like the most famous story that a lot of economists heard about, where you have like hyperinflation, where an asset just gets super overvalued. So tulips was a flower.
Okay.
Actually, women today it's some of their like favorite flower. Like you ask them what they top 5, they might say tulip. But the tulip story is very indicative about what's happening with Bitcoin. You know, you should really look into it. Really, really interesting. But but yeah. So did you start day trading Bitcoin, or did you just like would buy it and hold it?
So I started in the foreign exchange market. Yes and no to buying and holding for crypto, right? Because I think at the time, the only way I was able to fund my foreign exchange account was through Bitcoin. So when
So they were offshore. They weren't in America.
yeah, it was unregulated. Unregulated. But
That's Binance. That's how Binance was.
yeah,
You couldn't put money in there directly. You had to. I had my Coinbase account, and I send money to Binance. I wonder how much money he paid trying to get apart, but that's a whole nother story.
I lost so much money in my Binance account once they switched over to not being able to be utilized in the US. They just closed my account. So I don't even know.
People were still using it though. I mean, people were using it with a VPN.
Yeah.
This isn't investment advice, so I'm not telling you to do anything legal, but I'm just giving you historical.
Right. But yeah, I think when I saw that the money left over when I was trying to transfer over to my broker account was growing as well. I'm like, okay, well, let me leave a portion, right? Or
Right.
let me take possibly my profits that I make from the market and leaving in the cryptocurrency wallet that I had at the time.
Right.
Uh, so then I just started looking into, because most brokers didn't even have Bitcoin to be traded on the foreign exchange at that time.
No, no,
So
definitely didn't.
it was straight
It's
for
too
me.
volatile and the market wasn't big enough at the time.
Yep. So for
Um,
me, I was only trading London pairs, a few London pairs at the time, US 30, top 30 companies in the US, and gold. So until they actually brought Bitcoin into the actual foreign exchange market, that's when I started trading it. Outside of that, I just was just bouncing around different brokers, crypto brokers at the time, like your Binance, crypto.com, all those wallets at the time, and just buying and holding. But I think for me, wasn't so fascinated about Bitcoin. I call Beyonce, not Beyonce, but I call Bitcoin the Beyonce of cryptocurrency.
yeah.
But I was more so interested in all the smaller coins, right? The altcoins. So your XRPs, your XLMs, all of those coins at the time. And I mean, I'm still in, because I mean, look at what Bitcoin price is right now, over $100,000. Most of these coins are still below five,
Right.
right? So what's
Right.
keeping that from those coins getting to that, right? Because we're still really low, bro, in the crypto market. It's
Yeah, we are, but you gotta understand it's supply and demand. So you print so many coins, it's impossible. It will be impossible for your coin to get to the same value as Bitcoin
yeah.
per coin.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, because a lot of these currencies they keep printing,
Mhm.
they keep printing. So it's like it's like you're printing yourself out of value.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So how can you truly, you know, like the XRP gang
Mhm.
people, they're like, I'm like, do y'all really understand economics? Like y'all understand supply and demand? Y'all keep printing,
Yeah.
So not to say that XRP is a bad coin,
Mhm.
but like to kind of put it in the same category as Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And I can go down a rabbit hole, so I'll save you that. But
Mhm.
the mechanics underlying them two are very different.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
One's controlled, one isn't.
Yeah.
Well, depending on how you explain control, but
Right.
as far as the protocol and stuff, one's controlled more than the other.
Yeah.
The miners really control Bitcoin,
Yeah. I, I think anything paired with USD is controlled. And I think that was another rabbit hole I went
mm,
down, realizing that they created this to be decentralized, right? But how can it be decentralized if it's controlled or paired with the US dollar?
yeah.
So don't want to get too much of detail on that, but that's
So
something that was awakening for me. I'm like, okay, well, this is not really for us, right? Because they can, if it's paired if it's paired with the US dollar, they can wipe it out.
right, right. But so, and then we can move on. But I gotta say this though. So the highest level of encryption was created by or who had it in the 70s was the NSA,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
And so my theory is that people involved with the US government directly, indirectly help make Bitcoin. So when
Absolutely.
you look at the encryption level,
Yeah.
please go out there and do your research.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've gone down that rabbit hole. So I'm like pretty almost certain, like someone involved with the government, like I said, because NSA had the highest encryption in the 70s, and you just don't lose that advantage.
Right.
And how is it that Bitcoin is the most secure network in the world?
Right.
The only thing I think that could beat it is quantum
Yeah.
computing, but I don't think the big money will let quantum computing break it. I
Okay.
think they'll buy it first so that it'll cancel each other out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're doing the trading, that's cool. Um, what are some things that trading taught you about yourself that you didn't know?
Man, they exposed everything. They literally exposed everything about
Yeah,
myself, down to every single emotion that I felt during trading, uh, down to character, uh, personality. I think I took on trading because I quote unquote like consider myself an introvert. I now know that I'm more so an ambivert, right? I could be extrovert, I could be introvert, it's in
yeah,
the middle. But I think I took on the journey of trading just to be by myself. I didn't want to work with anybody else. I just want to be in the room and just make as much money as possible, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then I realized that what was attached to that was greed,
Okay.
right? Um, and then I realized that I think I had a different journey than a lot of people when it came to trading. I had a lot of success early on, and that created a false reality of what day trading really was, right? Or what it consists of, right? I think because I never faced any adversity um, in the markets, and I think at the time it was mainly because Trump was in office, right? It
Okay,
was
so this is 2019, 2020.
yes,
So did you start trading before the pandemic?
a little bit, right? I think I just
Okay.
became more successful during a little bit before,
Yeah, all the
right,
traders before it.
right.
Yeah,
It was only going one direction like it is right now,
yeah, yeah,
right? But
yeah.
yeah, I think exposed so many things about my consistency, my discipline, um, all of those things. And I think one thing that I enjoyed about trading was that in order for you to actually become a great trader, you have to face those problems. And that's why most traders quit because they don't want to face those problems, right? They're like, "Oh, you're exposing way too much. I'm too emotional. I can't think straight. I don't have clarity. All those things that
Yeah,
the market does create for you,
yeah,
makes people run away."
yeah.
And I think for me, going back to what we were talking about, just leaning in on certain things that I get exposed by, right, about myself and using it as edge and using it as fuel. Because again, I never wanted to be stagnant. I was never at the place of where I was in life. So I was grateful that trading exposed those things early on. And at my age, right, or I think I was what, I don't know, 28 now. I was 24, 25, 23 at that time.
Right, right,
So
right.
exposing that early on allowed me to go down this journey of, developing myself to become, the person that I wanted to uh, be, right? I didn't want to be, undisciplined person. I didn't want to be a greedy person, all those things, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
how else do I, how do I overcome that, right?
Right.
And just locking in on and, being self-aware, of course, and then just working on myself.
Got it.
So yeah, exposed
Got
to
it.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, I love you said that. Like accountability. That's
Yeah,
what I'm hearing. You got to have high accountability.
absolutely.
Because you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to that bank account.
Right. Literally, literally. Right.
um, so great. So you're doing the trading, and tell me about your um into launching Scale House and what Scale House is.
Yeah. So Scale House is a members only organization where we focus on creating spaces for us, right? The diaspora. And we're creating spaces for creatives, entrepreneurs, founders, people that are in VC, tech, high level executives, right? Um, and we have three things in mind when we create these spaces, right? The first thing is, are you being influenced about influenced about the people that are around you um, to want to scale yourself? And then if you have a business, right, or you're looking to start a business or even looking to scale a business, how can you do that, right? How
Right.
can you scale the business? Is there someone in this space that can help you get to that next level, right, or even get started? And then the last thing is helping the people around you. Right. So I've realized that traditional networking is dead, right? It's not authentic. People go into the space with expectations of, what can I receive, right? But I wanted to create a space where there was no expectations. People that are that I'm inviting, right? Because it's RSVP only at this moment. I wanted to make sure that they can mutually benefit not every single person, but people in that space. Right. So I wanted to just, bring people together to figure out how we can do those three things, creating an ecosystem for Scalehouse, but then also you also are creating an ecosystem for yourself. Right.
Right.
Starting locally and then eventually globally.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, because I've been to a couple of your events, and one of the things I like, and I tell people is that like professional networking is cool.
Mm,
But I feel like oftentimes people lead with their titles.
mm,
And the one thing I notice about your events is that it's funny because I invite certain people from there, and they'll be like, "Hold on, this is club hours." I'm like, "Bro, but this is This is like legit.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends came and he was just like, man, I had one of the best times ever. I'm like, yo, you get some very high quality people in there. I met a NASA scientist. Can't think of her name. Um, didn't expect to meet a NASA scientist at your event. That was cool. Um, and I just like how your type of events are very like easily disarming. And that's why when I look at events, how the decor is important. The place where you have it, because that actually dictate, the type of conversations, right? Like the Ion is great, but I think the Ion, from my viewpoint, is limiting because it doesn't have a lot of art there. If it had more artwork in there, I feel like it would be more inclusive of people who don't want to do quote unquote professional,
Right.
networking. So like how does someone how does someone who wants to plan events is actually how do you make an event successful? Because that's hard. You got to worry about getting people in the door, but like how are you able to consistently use JT and the other co-founder, forgot her name?
Alexis.
Alexis, yeah. So how are y'all able to like really keep it successful?
Yeah, I think it starts with the leadership and then the team and our visions aligning, right? We know that we want a certain standard for the starting at the spaces that we have our attendees come to.
Yeah,
That creates the environment where you're able to, let your hair down a little bit, uh, have different conversations outside of what do you do. Um, and I think that was very important to us. How can we create elevated spaces, or not even create elevated spaces, but provide elevated spaces
right,
for elevated people, right? So that's really the goal with, every space that we choose, right? Does this align with Scale House goal, Scale House visual? And does this align with the type of people that we're bringing in, right? Because again, the spaces dictate the conversations, right? So
right,
if the music is loud, you're not going to really have that much to talk about because you're going to probably get tired of yelling, right? But if you have create a space where the music is at a mellow space, we have some quality music playing where it's not, doesn't necessarily always have to be rap, right? But,
right.
something that kind of like levels out the mood of the entire space,
Yeah,
gets people's creative juices flowing. Like
right,
certain music
right.
subconsciously gets
Put
the
you in a
way your
different, yeah.
conversation, to dictate your conversation.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I think of like drill music, right? Like the war beat. I don't know if that's good for like casual
Right.
networking.
Because you're going to be like this. And then,
Yeah,
it's more so
yeah.
the conversations that we want is just more so just
That,
be,
that's music when you ride to, when you
yeah,
complete a
to go
job
to a
on.
turn up.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um. So what's next for Scale House? What's next?
Yeah. So we have one of our first events outside of the mixers that we do post every Friday at Reset Rooftop, October 31st. We have about 340 people attending. First event, sponsors, um, amazing people, high level executives, people that are in cybersecurity, tech, all over the state, right? Coming together and just doing it at a bigger scale, right?
Hmm.
Hence the name Scale House. We keep scaling. We started with 7 people. Our last event has 7, right? Our next event next week is going to have 350 plus,
That's
right?
lovely, man. It's
So
lovely.
it's in the name. And I think for Scale House, though, that isn't always the goal, right? We care more about quality than quantity,
Right, right,
but I
right.
think more so bring a recognition of what we can provide, what we can offer, the spaces that we're providing. Right now, essentially draw people in,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I want people to come into the spaces and feel as though, okay, I got motivated from being in the space. Let me figure out how can I continue to elevate? How can I scale my life, right? How can I scale my business? That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to constantly do, curated events around that, elevated spaces, dinners, more intimate gatherings
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
people can actually have those conversations and not just have those conversations within those 4 walls. Let's foster that relationship outside of here. That's
Right.
essentially how we met, right?
Right. Right.
At one of the events, and we continue to foster that relationship outside of that. And now you have me on your podcast,
Yeah,
you
man.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's essentially an example of, the goal of Scale House, right? How can
Right.
we build each other's ecosystem.
Yeah.
So yeah, please support, please come out. 5 to 9, Reset Rooftop, October 31st. And have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I know we tight on time. Anything else you wanna talk about?
I mean, I just appreciate the opportunity, man. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your platform.
Yeah, man. It's
Sure.
it's been real, man.
Yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
real, man. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Corey. Stay trapping with Trap Talks, where we can discuss the intersection of culture and tech. I got my guy Anderson Douglas here. Bayesian, Jersey native, now lives in Houston. Co-founder, founder of Scale House. And again, I'm gonna have that link in the bio section or the comments or whatever platform I post this to. And yeah, come back to the trap again. Peace.
Peace.